What's up? It's Stef from Stef's Drum Show. We're back with a very special guest, an awesome drummer named Trev. Thank you for coming by.
Thanks for having me, Steph.
So I don't hear an accent. You're from Canada. I don't hear any accent.
I'm Pacific Northwest, so think Seattle, and that would probably be the closest. So I think us, like Vancouver and Seattle, are like the same basic sounding accent. If you want to call that an accent, some people say it's no accent, like it's totally vanilla. So I don't know, but
have you driven across the U.S. border?
Yes, many times. I've gone up and down the West Coast quite a few times. Did Disneyland back when I was a kid. Visited family and stuff. Went south of the border to Mexico as well, Tijuana, and
even driving like all the way.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, a couple times by car and once on a horrible bus. That's an experience both me and my ass never want to relive. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy because I've driven across the border to Mexico a lot, but never up to Canada. I don't like it cold. There hasn't been. I want to cruise. Eventually, I want to take a cruise where you go through Canada and go to Alaska. But I've dated a guy from Canada in college for a while, but that's the closest to Canada that I've gotten. I don't know. What's it like? Describe Canada and how different it is from the United States.
Well, where I live is, again, have you been to Seattle? Have you done Seattle?
No, so I've been to Portland a lot, and that's as far as I go is Portland, and I haven't been to Seattle.
Close enough. I'd say once you get to like Northern California and into Oregon, you're pretty much in the same kind of like weather system that we've got going on where I live. But where I live, the rest of Canada hates. Like it in no way reflects the rest of the country. The rest of the country, like on the other side of the Rockies and beyond, is all freezing cold in the winter, crazy hot in the summer. We're much more like Washington, Portland, like in weather. So it's kind of like a little bit of rain, a little bit of sun, a little bit of cloud. Just we have all the seasons. So I imagine where you are.
Okay though? It's sunny and hot, and I need that. Are you okay with the overcast? Like I can't do overcast a lot.
Oh man, I love it.
You do?
Yeah, I might be part vampire. I like it when it's dark and cloudy and dismal. I don't know. Maybe because I'm so pale, and so I just need to protect myself from the sun all the time. Otherwise, I can never go outside. So I don't know. I'm probably where I belong.
I need it sunny and like all the time. Okay, let's get into your actual music. What the fun part's about. How did you get started drumming?
Oh man. I'm not particularly religious at this point in my life, but church played a big part in that when I was a little kid.
That's cool.
So we don't have this term up here, but I think it's what you would call junior high, like grade 8, grade 9. What would you call that in the States?
7 and 8 is middle school. And then 9th is high school. So wait, what do you mean you guys? I'm curious. You don't.
Well, we don't say junior high. We don't say sophomore, freshman. We don't have those terms up here, but I know them from movies.
No way. That's interesting.
I don't know what any of those mean. I'm completely naive, but I think junior is like grade 9.
Do you have separate schools though?
Back in my day when I was in school, we had just elementary and high school. But now, like my kids have middle school, and I think that's grade 6 and 7. And then,
but what do you call it if you don't usually say middle school?
You just say what grade you're in. You just say the number.
Oh.
We're not cool.
So like elementary, middle, high school is like how we refer. And you know what's interesting? You don't realize as an American that everyone watches American movies and listens to American music, and how much our culture kind of bleeds into other countries.
Yeah.
How much it's not like, oh, you're going to go to another country and this French pop star is probably going to be the biggest. It's usually an American pop star that's most well known.
Absolutely.
So, okay, you started in church playing drums. That's how you got the girls. And then
no.
Did you take private lessons or?
No, I took one private lesson and it didn't go super well. He was like, well, okay, this might not be for you, but give it your best shot. And then he moved out.
That's harsh.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. My grade 8 band teacher So I'll try and make this real quick. It was the last class of the school year before summer was about to begin. Like literally last class of the day before summer. We were anxious to get out of there. And he's like, all right, I'm going to call you all up one by one. And he started calling up everyone in the class by alphabetical order. And my last name starts with a B. So I'm like, sweet. I'm going to get out of class quick. Right. There's like 2 A's and then it's me. And he's like, come up one by one when I call you. I'm going to tell you what class I think you should take next year to, excel in band. Some of you are going to be staying in beginner. Some of you are going to go advanced, blah, blah, blah. And so I go up there expecting him to say, just stay in beginner. You'll be all right. He saved me until the end. He skipped my name, saw the entire class, like 25 people. No one was left in the room. Then he called me up. He's like, I called you up because I didn't want to embarrass you. But I'm going to be honest, you're never going to be able to play an instrument. So just do us.
Oh my God. So you got knocked down.
Yeah. So he was like, do us both a favor and don't go into band next year. Like go into art and just.
That is so mean.
And I was playing trumpet at the time. And I was like, he hated me because I couldn't read the music. I would just memorize the songs. I would just play by ear. So after that, I kind of been obsessing over watching drummers for that whole year. I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to play the drums. I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to prove this guy wrong. And years later, he saw me play in a random church. And he came up to me and he said, hey, man, my name is so-and-so. He introduced himself because he didn't recognize me. And he was like, I just wanted to say that's the best drumming I've ever heard in church. And I'm like, thanks, man. And I just let him walk away.
Okay, you didn't remind him like I'm the guy that you suggested no music should be
No,
played.
I was tempted, but his career like fell apart on him while I was still at that school, and I felt like I'd be kicking someone while they're down. Things didn't go well for him after that. So I was like, he's taken a few hits in life. I'm going to let this one go and just take the compliments. That to this day is my favorite compliment I've ever been given is the guy who told me I can't do it told me I was the best. So
I love that. Sometimes it takes like lighting a fire under you, to keep going. And I know even if I've got negative feedback in the past, I'm like, oh, well, like I'm on the radio and they're not. And I tried to take bass for a year and I couldn't play. I sucked, but I was in this all girl band in high school and I thought I was cool. But so I appreciate musicians so much because music is really difficult. It's not easy.
So when you listen to music, what are you listening to the most? Are you listening to it for the lyrics? Like, are you singing along? Yeah.
I'm such a lyric. Yeah. Like if it's like cool lyrics that I can relate to or that moves me, not the music as much for sure, which is interesting because when I date musicians and talk to musicians, they seem to not care about the lyrics as much. They tell me they're really into the music and that's how they're judging the song. And I'm just like, these lyrics suck. And they're like, there's lyrics. So
yeah. I'm the
know.
same way. I think from a young age, I was always listening to the beat and not really totally understanding what I was hearing. But I just knew that I had to be a part of it somehow. I just didn't know what it was yet until someday some random kid was like, hey, what are you listening to? And I had this is going to date me. I had my Sony Discman. And
I get it. Yeah.
I was listening to Green Day Dookie. I'm like, I'm listening to Green Day. He's like, oh, that drummer's tight. And I'm like, yeah, he is. And that's when it clicked. I was like, it's the drums that I love so much. And that's when I started obsessing over drum kits and watching people play. I'm like, I got to figure this out. It looks so much fun.
Yeah. And the drums stood out for you the most. And I love that you do Chevelle. Obviously, I'm a huge Chevelle fan too. I can't wait till they're done touring and can swing by. Is there a band that's been the hardest to duplicate the drums on?
My weakest point is my speed and skill with my feet. I started playing double kick very far into my drumming years. I played for probably 15 years before I even touched double bass pedal. So I got into it really late in the game. I was already an old man when I started tinkering around with 2 feet. And I'm still very slow and sluggish at it. I try to keep up with the kids, but anything like Slipknot, like I can play their slower songs that are a little slower tempo and a little less demanding on an old guy like me. But
you're not old. Oh, be quiet. I'm not old. We're not old. We're seasoned. We are seasoned. Faster tempo bands are kind of harder. What is Chevelle your favorite overall?
Chevelle is my absolute favorite band for sure. I
Yeah.
remember hearing The Red on the radio when it was a brand new
Mm.
single. I had just left the mall. I had just bought a CD. I don't even remember what CD it was. And that song came on, and I literally I pulled a Yui and I went right back to the mall. And by the time I pulled into the parking lot, I heard the announcer, the DJ, say, that's a new one by a band called Chevelle. It's called The Red. I'm like, Chevelle, Chevelle, Chevelle. And I just ran into the mall. I'm like, do you have anything by Chevelle? He's like, yeah, new releases. And I was like, I'm going to exchange this CD. And I got the Chevelle, and that stayed in my car for like 6 months straight. I just like wore that CD down, and I've
No,
been a
I
huge
love
fan of
it. I love,
yeah.
love, love Chevelle. And there seems to be a relation between literally being related. So bands that are siblings, either two brothers, three brothers, or brother and sister, I think are some of the most talented musicians. And I don't know if they just get each other or they can be honest and raw with each other or the talent runs in the blood, kind of what that situation is. And they have a unique situation that they let one of them go and then the other two are kind of still going. And I wonder if I want to ask about that. Like, if that's animosity, or do you have anyone in your family that has played music or other people that are into music?
No, it's funny. I just recently shared this Instagram account with my sister because no one in my life knew I was doing this for about
No
3 years.
way. You're hiding.
And she actually said that. She's like, we don't know where you got this from, because there isn't anyone musical in my family. Like everyone in my family loves music. They all have their favorite stuff they listen to. My sister loves, my sister's like my best friend in this world, and she loves Metallica.
Aw.
We love a lot of the same music. And I grew up listening to her stuff and being very influenced by what her and her friends were listening to. So she introduced me to Nirvana. She introduced me to Green Day, all this stuff that I still love today. But yeah, none of them play instruments. It's weird. I don't know what made me want to do it so bad. I guess I just felt like I had to get inside the music a little more than the rest of them. I don't know, but I'm glad I figured it out eventually.
Yeah, the bug bit you. So not only do you have so much talent and I love watching you drum, but your editing skills are phenomenal. Like, do you send it to post-production to anyone, or do you do the different camera angles and the editing afterwards?
Yeah, so I do it all myself. I'm too cheap and too much of a control freak to give it to anyone else.
Okay.
Um, in the case of the most recent kind of big video I did for my finale Chevelle video, that
Yeah,
was
that was
very
really
much,
cool.
yeah, that one I brought in the big guns for. I brought in real talent. A gentleman named Alec, he was a videographer. He did all the heavy lifting on the editing and sound engineering. My buddy Catlin, who's like an actual professional, very talented actor. He came in and really, brought things up another level. A guy named Max was on the drone doing shots. So this one actually had a working budget, actually had sets, actually had professionals involved. I really wanted to go out with a bang with my Chevelle covers. So that was a lot of fun. It was just for me, but it was fun.
I was gonna say, like, what inspired that? It's just a dream of yours to complete this project that you've had in mind?
Yeah, I never expected this account to get past like 200 followers. Like I didn't know
Yeah,
what
you have so many followers, and then and I love how supportive you are to the community. Like, you're always hyping everybody up and people are hyping you up. That is a really neat attribute to have. And so you kind of
Oh yeah.
wanted to give back to people that are, following you and do this project?
Yeah, absolutely. This is just for me and the fans. That's it. I'm not. I started making money at this briefly. I did a Patreon thing, and I was doing well, but it didn't feel right. I didn't like it. It turned it turned it from a hobby into like a job. Like I had 200 bosses I was working for, and I didn't like the feeling. And I already have a day job. I already have a career, and I'm a dad. So I'm like,
That's the thing. Like, I'm not trying to make money off this. This is like my hobby and I
yeah,
have a job. And so I'm just like, you know what? When everyone's like, well, are you going to monetize it or ask to put your Venmo? Or I'm like, no, that just feels, I don't want anyone's money. If someone's a fan of the band that I listen to, I would love them to be able to hear more about this artist that they love. Like, that's the
yeah.
whole gist of it. And that's kind of it. But so you funded this entire project. Did you also direct it, produce it? I mean, you started it. Did you kind of do everything?
Yeah, I did a little bit of everything. We all did. There were so few of us involved and so much work to do and so little time to get it done that everyone was just running around, moving set pieces in between shots, and we're all throwing in our ideas. And I'm like, guys, you know more than me. Like, don't stay quiet about what camera angle you think would work here. They're throwing out terms that I've never heard before. Like, I was the only one involved in this that wasn't part of that industry. So even though it was my vision and my dream, I was the newbie. So I was very much, placing my faith in these guys. And it obviously, like, the end result speaks for itself. They did such an amazing job, and they did a great job of making me look good. And that's all I wanted them to do was just, like, let's go out with a bang with the Chevelle covers. Cause back when I was when I hit 5,000 followers, a while back, a couple of years back, which I wasn't expecting to happen, I was kind of aimless. And I was like, well, I can never decide which Chevelle song to cover next. So why don't I just do them all? And so I just started from track 1 of Wonder What's Next, their first breakout album. And I just worked my way in order. And 84 Sundays in a row later, I got to the end. Like, I want to go out with a bang. I want the last Chevelle Sunday to be like a huge one. And so it was a few months of prep to get there, but we stuck the landing, and that was a good feeling to wrap it up. And so now I'm just going to relax for a bit.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work. Have you sent it to Chevelle?
I have. They've been very quiet. Unfortunately, the week that I was hyping this up and I dropped it, I think a couple of them got really sick.
Everyone got sick and had to cancel. The tour.
So,
Why don't I got a good idea just talking to you? I've got their manager's email. Why don't I give you Amy's email and you send it to her and just see if they have time and they want to check it out. They probably would love it, especially if they're just touring on the bus. And so you got to send it to her when we're done with this.
Yeah.
Right? I'm making you. It's not an option.
Yeah, I would love it if just to know they've seen it, just to know that, like,
because you put so much hard work into it. They gotta, they'll appreciate it.
I think they would. Yeah, they seem like really cool guys. There's no doubt that eventually somehow they'll see it. But yeah, that definitely helps. I would love for them. I would love to get their feedback for sure. But ultimately, that's not why I did it. This is every single cover I do is a love letter from me to that band.
My God, that's romantic. You're romantic.
Well, kind of. It's music is a very romantic thing, and it's whether it's Shinedown, Foo Fighters, Green Day, it doesn't matter. These are bands that I love and that have had a positive impact on my life and have been there for me through dark times. They don't know me. I'm just another person on the internet to them, but to me, they're everything. Their music is everything. So that's just my way of giving back and just sharing it with the community and being like, hey, if you want to just rock out to the song with me for a minute and a half on Instagram, feel free. I'm having the time of my life over here, just rocking out, and you want to be part of it. Great. And if the band wants to get involved, awesome. If they don't, hey, they got their own lives. They're busy. They're touring. They've got a bazillion fans to manage. I don't expect their time of day. This is 100% for me and the fans. And a lot of fans have watched the video and are continuing to, and that's all that matters to me. That's why I did it.
That's really neat. And I know music is my therapy. It's what gets me through the day, and I absolutely appreciate it. So that's why I feel still like Wayne's World, I'm not worthy every time I interview a band, even if it's my second or third time, because I'm like, I love your art. Your art gets me through the day and makes me happier. So I vibe with it. Okay, can we do some silly fun questions?
Sure. Oh, and I was going to say, speaking of rock bands that we love and we all like to gossip about. So you posted about Derek possibly being
Did you hear that? I just heard this morning.
But he just posted that he's not going to be doing anything.
Oh.
There were 2 rumors going around that Derek from Sum 41 was going to be the lead singer of either Linkin Park, and then the other rumor was Oasis. And he just posted saying, neither are true. My announcement is about something totally different. So I was so bummed.
Oasis isn't true too?
No.
No, dude, I just went out to breakfast and came home here and logged on. And I was all stoked this morning that I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't see Derek as the lead singer of Linkin Park, but like, let me hear it. Let me check it out. And so that's, I guess, I don't know who put that together then, because all of the publications in the United States, that was the headlines this morning when I did my coffee at 5 a.m. And I was like, okay. So I wonder who got it wrong, or they just thought there's 2 announcements coming at the same time. That's what it has to be.
I think that's what it is. The stars were aligned. I could picture Derek having a Chester-like voice. It's definitely a different genre for him, but I could see he would definitely pull it off if he were to step into that. And so now it makes me wonder, like, are we going to get Linkin Park back? Like, I love those guys. They're still relevant.
I don't know if I want Linkin Park back.
No?
Without Chester. No, that's my honest opinion.
Yeah.
I just think I've seen them with Chester lots of times and they were so good that I think it would weird me out. There's only some weird stuff to me, like Bradley's son in or from Sublime. When your child is taking over your spot, then it's like, oh, I want to see Sublime again. I can't wait. Like with Rome. And like I would just love to see the change up there, but not if it's completely different person after that person's passed away. I think it changes the whole context of the band. And I don't know if I want
to. So what do you think about 3 Days Grace switching singers a few albums back? Were you able to get on board with that, or was that?
I was. I was. And I think I was just younger and I was like, oh, I'm such a 3 Days Grace fan. Same with even Drowning Pool when they did switch up for a little bit when it's center of career. But I think when you're Chester, you are the band. That would be like System of a Down taking out Surge and like replacing it. And it's just like, no, that's his band. So I think it's just a different vibe.
So it's all about how iconic that voice is. And
and how like you embody like your lead singer hardcore. You are the band, and I don't know. I can't Butcher Babies. I can't wait to see again. I'm okay with having one lead singer instead of two. I didn't think it was like one or the other was the face of the band. So there's some that it doesn't bother me. But
right.
I don't know. Okay, I wanted to know. Well, now you said church, so that's exciting. Like, how were you? What was it like as a child?
It was, you know what? I had a pretty good upbringing. I didn't have any trauma or anything. It was just a suburban lifestyle, just pretty chill. I was a quiet kid, stayed out of trouble. Church was good for me because it kind of forced me to interact with other kids and be a little more social, get out on a Friday night and do stupid things with other kids my age and, try and get in trouble, which, getting in trouble in church or in a religious school is easy. It's easy to be the badass when you're in a private school.
You didn't raise your hand one time. And
that's right. Oh, he had to sit in the hall for a minute. Oh my God. But yeah, no, it was one thing, I'm not much of a churchgoer anymore, but I value what church did for me. It opened a lot of doors. It exposed me to, it put me in a position where it forced me to get up on stage in front of hundreds, sometimes thousands of people on that drum kit, get over my fear of, being in front of a crowd and just focusing on the music and doing what I'm there to do. And I still do it to this day. I still drum at churches. They're happy to have me, even though I'm not particularly religious or anything, but I keep that to myself. I just go up and play the songs and get into it and just try and make the music sound as amazing as I can and do my part. So I
my kids go to religious school as well. And I know I'm like fully tatted and everything, but the church is super welcoming to me. And my kids are both in band at the religious school. And I love it. It's the best education in this area. So that was like the main focus of why I wanted to put them in there. But you were a good kid overall. You weren't.
Like, I stayed out of trouble. My first sip of alcohol was on my 30th birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a pretty straight-laced kid. I was
What's
scared.
What's the drinking age in Canada?
Here it's 19.
Oh, wow.
It's 21 where you are, right?
Yeah. 19 makes sense because we all start at 18. We leave the house, go to college, and that's when most Americans start. But like, I don't know why it's 21. It's just silly. Okay. Yeah. And then silly question. What's your favorite place to vacation to?
Well, recently we did Mexico, and that was pretty awesome. But we've got
Cancun or Cabo or Ensenada? What's the
Cabo? Yeah,
I love Cabo.
It was nice. We got to do a little baby turtle release thing into the sea. That was so cute, so adorable.
I never got to see that or do that. That's cool.
Oh man, highly recommend it when you get a chance. They have all kinds of conservationist setups there on the beach where they're trying to protect them from wildlife and from people because there's like some kind of superstition there that if you eat the turtle eggs, it's like it heals you and gives you powers. And so there's this whole industry there where people are sneaking onto the beach and stealing the eggs. And so these people are there to protect the turtles from everyone, They're like, people are the worst predators. We're protecting them from the locals.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
That's
sad,
like
but
the
it was,
shark fin, like the shark fin soup thing in Japan that for some
oh
reason
man,
it'll bring you like good luck and prosperity. So there's a lot of just dead sharks with no fins washing up. And it's so
that's messed
crazy.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so sad.
That's a
We gotta
bummer.
leave these poor creatures alone. But yeah, I want to go back to Disneyland now that they got Star Wars stuff, dude. I
I
got to
love
get back
Disneyland.
there.
Have you got to go to the Star Wars bar. It is so cool. It's just such a
Yeah.
replica. Yeah, I love it. But it's been like 3 years for me. I'm itching to go back. It's just so expensive. It's gone up so much in the
I know.
last couple years that we have to save up. Okay,
Yeah.
what is the best live concert that you've seen?
Oh man, I've been to so many. Because it took me so long to finally see them, I'm going to say the most recent time I saw Chevelle. I've seen them twice, but the most recent show where they toured with 3 Days Grace, it was in Vancouver, Washington, I believe. Oh man, they
Really cool.
blew the roof off. Like they sounded so damn good that night. Like, it was incredible. And because I love them so much, it's an automatic 10 points, and then everything else after that is just icing on the cake. But
Yeah.
apart from that, I would say Rush was probably the best show I've seen objectively. Like their sound, their performance, the stagecraft, the work that goes into that show. R.I.P. Neil Peart. He was the man on the drums. Miss that guy. But as a Canadian, I got to represent, right? So I'll say Rush for best show.
About that. Have you ever? What's interesting to me is like I've gone to see a couple bands that I wasn't huge fans of, and then I became larger fans because their live show was so good. And that was Incubus and Muse for me. Not that I love them, obviously. I bought concert tickets, but they both put on such electric, moving shows that I then wanted to buy all of their albums and listen to their music more often. So it's cool how, and then the opposites happened. I've been huge fans of bands and I've seen them live and they don't sound anything like the record and they're kind of messing up a lot. And you're like, oh, I'm not as big a fan anymore. So your performance, your live concert really does it for me.
I agree. And I had the same experience with Muse as well. I saw them while they were doing the Uprising tour and I was like, oh my God, who is this? And I went into the lobby and I bought like 3 CDs and listened to them.
Me too. Right. And they had these giant balloons. I'll just never forget. This was a long time ago, filled up with glow sticks, mini glow sticks. And then we were told to try to pop them. So people put their keys up or their little pocket knives. And we popped these giant balloons and all of these little glow sticks would fall over everyone and like sprinkle down looking like rain and their lights. And it was just so intense that I was like, okay, I like Muse now. Like they're badass.
Amazing.
They're not just a Twilight soundtrack band. That's how I
Are they on Twilight? I didn't even know that.
They are. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, maybe that's them. I don't know. And you know what's funny? I was going to ask you train, bus, or plane, but you already told me the bus was not comfortable for your backside.
No.
So what would you do, a train or plane?
If it's far away, I'll just try and pass out on a plane and make the trip get over with quickly. But if it's going somewhere within a 6 to 8 hour drive of where I live, I'll happily drive, especially if the weather's decent. I actually like a good drive. I'm not always about the destination. I like a good road trip, when you're.
Yeah. Sometimes I like to stop when I want to stop, and like go to a weird gas station or go into a dive bar and meet the locals and get to know about that little town. So I don't know. I'm such a driver these days and people tease me because I will drive for days and I just don't. It doesn't bother me as long as my dog's with me. I should take my little road dog.
Yeah. I used to take the Greyhound bus all the time out of necessity back when that existed in Canada. And then everything went south real quick with that business when, I don't know if you ever heard of it, but that cannibal guy went crazy on a bus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, we in America, we don't ride the Greyhound. I mean, it's just, I'm sure there's people that obviously still do, but it's like prisoners getting out of prison. So it's like, I'm not going to take the kids and get on the Greyhound. And even the bus system, it's not like Europe where I rode the Eurostar all through Europe to get around and I felt safe and fine. For some reason, the train system in America is also a little bit of a dangerous situation. So I just flying or driving. And we're we're like our big trucks with our open roads and gas guzzling. It's such an American pastime. We don't want to train it up.
Yeah, I'm a Tesla guy now. So I catch all kinds of heat from the gas guzzling community. they just roll their eyes at my car. But I love my car now.
I had
great.
a hybrid Lexus that I could charge. That was really cool. And then ironically, my new house has a Tesla charger that it came with in the garage. And I don't own a Tesla, so I've never used it. But my neighbors have driven up and used it with their Teslas. And they're like, I wish I had this. And I'm like, I don't know. Oh, there's my cat. Sorry.
You can charge for it. You should just start charging all the neighbors to charge at your house. Just
I
like
do in wine.
there
Yeah, I'm
you
like,
go.
give me a bottle of wine and you can charge your car and it works. But speaking of wine, cheers. Trey, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna post this up. Thank you so much for stopping by the show. And oh, my cat just came back. And thank you so much for stopping by Stef's Rock Show. And definitely, I'm gonna send you info. You gotta send Chevelle's manager your video and your drumming.
I love it. I love it. I'm into it. I'll do that. Thank you.
Have a good one up in Canada.
Thanks so much.